Hi guys, my name is Nico, I'm from Germany and today I'm going to guide you through the installation process of NetLock RMM on Linux. Let's scroll down to the requirements. Taking a look on the software requirements, you need the Linux distribution. In our case, you're going to use Ubuntu. If you want to use another distribution, take a look on our documentation and if it's supported. If it's not supported, then it will not work. Then we need a MySQL server, minimum version 8.0. This is already set up for us. A domain for SSL encryption. In our case, you're going to use the Let's Encrypt integration of NetLock, so it's pretty easy to issue a certificate for your domain. And then an SSH client, we're going to use MobileXterm. And then regarding the hardware requirements, the minimum requirements are 2 cores and 2 GB of RAM. Depending on the amount of devices you want to monitor, this may be changed. Jumping straight to the installation process, we need to take a look on the basic server concept. In our case, we are going to use this basic server concept. There's also different concepts available. Take a look on the roles and server concepts documentation page. As a quick summary, that means you can actually split the backend roles into different roles and different backends for better security and performance depending on your requirements. But yeah, let's just jump straight to the system requirements. We still need to install ASP.NET Core Runtime 8.0 on our machine. For us, it's Ubuntu 24.04. Just copy the command and paste it in your Linux distribution through SSH, fire it up, and wait until it prompts you for the installation. This should not take a while, and as you can see, it's just finished. Then we need to scroll down and create a database. In our case, we already have created a database that's called NetLock. If you don't have one already, make sure you have it and be sure that it's the minimum version of MySQL 8.0. Now we need to obtain the installation files for the NetLock RMM web console. For this, you need to either compile the web console yourself, or what you can also do is signing up on our members portal, which is completely free, and we offer free and unsigned executables for your home lab or test environment. For that, you need to sign up on our members portal. I'm not going to show you how to sign up. You can find it in the documentation under code signing and memberships. I'm going straight to my products, then selecting my product. Then we need to reissue the package if it's not already done, and then we can just download the package. After you've downloaded the package, open it up in your file explorer, extract the package. Then we have different kind of packages. In our case, you need to use the web console package, select it, right click, and then extract it with an extract tool of your choice. In our case, it's zip, 7-zip. Going into the folder and copy all the content directly to your server. But before doing this, we need to create the additional folder structure. In my case, I'm going into home, and then I'm creating a new folder. We call it NetLock. And then I create another folder calling it web console, and into that I'm going to paste everything. As you can see, I'm using MobileXterm for it because it offers a file browser for SSH. You can of course use other tools. Just make sure that you build the folder structure just like on our tutorial and copying in the content. After everything had been uploaded, we need to edit the app settings JSON. In our case, you're going to use Nano for the tutorial. You can of course, if you're using MobileXterm, use your favorite text editor. Then web console, then app settings JSON, select it. Now after we got it open, we need to configure it to be able to use HTTPS. As you can see, HTTPS is currently disabled and HTTP is enabled. We want to disable HTTP, then make sure you enable HTTPS. Select the default port, the best is 443, of course. Then we need to enable the force redirection, so we have now unencrypted connections to it, or unencrypted connection attempts. Then HDST also needs to be enabled. Then going down, we need to provide the NetLock remote server and file server connection string. In our case, we are going to set up those backends later. But for that, we need to provide the domain that we are going to use and having the file server and remote server installed on. In our case, it's the same server like from the web console. Our domain is demo, then private, netlockrmm.com, just fill in your own. Then we need to edit this because we also want an encrypted connection in here. So we are going to edit the port from 7080 to 7443. And then you need to enable use SSL, and the same for the network file server wall. Edit the port, enable SSL. Now we need to go straight to the MySQL configuration. In our case, this will be the same server. I'm going to provide the domain again. Depending on the network configuration, you can just leave the local host IP address. That really depends on your configuration. And then we're going to need to select the port, and the default port in our case. Then the database in our case is called NetLock. The user is root. The password remains the same, and the SSL mode is completely none. If you're having a MySQL server on a different device and in the internet, you may need to make sure that you have some kind of SSL mode enabled, just for better security. So now what we need to do is we want to allow the public key retrieval from the MySQL server, because otherwise, after rebooting the MySQL server and not logging into it already, we will not be able to log in with the NetLock RMM instance. So we just paste this comment in, and that should be fine. Now we want to enable the Let's Encrypt integration. Make sure that you accept the terms of service. Then you need to provide the domain names. In our case, it's demo private netlockrmm.com. Just fill in your own. Then we have an email address for as contact. In our case, it's my private one. And that's it. We can now save the configuration and boot up the web console. In my case, we just stuck here now on the database tables exist because I already have issued a few certificates for this domain already, but didn't back up the account files. But as you can see now, if you're going to open the domain, we can log into the web console. And the default credentials are admin as username and admin as password. If you log in, we can type in a new one. In my case, I will just leave it as admin. Confirm, and then we need to relog, and there we go. That's our web console. Now the last thing we need to do is to set the package provider URL. The package provider URL is required for the backends to receive and download the agent files, installation files, and provide them to the devices. We go to settings, then system, scroll down, and there we can see package provider URL. In our case, we're going to use the package provider URL from the members portal. Just copy the link from the issued package, copy it in, and save. That's it. Now we can continue with the installation of the NetLock backend server. Now the last thing to configure in the web console is to set the package provider URL. This is required for the NetLock RMM server backends to retrieve the agent packages and provide the devices with the installation files required. For that, we go into our web console, then on settings, system, scroll down, and there we can see package provider URL. Now we need to use the package provider URL that we provided on our members portal. Just copy the link and paste it in. Of course, you could host this somewhere else, depending on your environment, but it's the easiest possible way to just use the one from the members portal. Click save, and that's it. What we want to do now is we want to configure the web console to run as a service under Linux. So even if we are not logged in and executed the command, it will just run in the background. So go to the documentation again, look for configure the web console to start with Linux via systemd. Then we need to create the .NET folder, copy the comments, paste it in. Then we need to create a new user. In our case, we will call it NetLock. Then provide a password. Confirm the information. Yes, the information is correct, and the user has been created. Now we need to edit the user's permissions. Just copy the whole comment block. Of course, if you have a different user, if you create a different user or a different username, you need to adjust the comment. We'll now see that we have an error message here because this directory is not existing. The directory is only required if you do troubleshooting and logging with the web console. So you can set that later on if required. Then we need to get our .NET path. In our case, it's user lib.net.net. Make sure that you quick save your path, so we have it for later. Then we need to allow it to bind the network paths. So we need to copy this, copy it in, and now you need to check. In our case, our .NET path was user lib.net.net. And here it's now in the template comment user share.net.net. That's of course wrong. You need to customize the path to your .NET path. Execute it. And now you can create a new service. Paste in the template. And again here, we need to make sure that the working directory is the same. In this case, it's the same according to our tutorial. And now what we need to do is we need to select the .NET path again. In my case, I quick saved the path before, so it's user lib.net.net. So it's not user share.net.net, it's user lib.net.net. Make sure that it's the same with you. Then we can just save it, leave, then reload your daemon. Oh, just runtime. Then enable the service. It should be enabled now. Restart the service. Now what we want to do is to verify the status of the service. For this, we need to copy the journalctl comment, paste it in, and as we can see, everything is running just fine and there are no error messages. If there's an error message, make sure that you check your configuration again. So what we can do now is we go back to our domain. In my case, I just need to edit this right now because I've issued too many Let's Encrypt certificates, so I ran into an error. And refreshing it, we can see it's now up and running. So that's it. NetLock is now running, the web console is now running in the background as a service, and we can continue to set up the NetLock RMM backend server. To set up the NetLock RMM server backend, it's pretty much the same procedure as with the web console. Simply go into your SSH client, then create a new folder for it. It's called server in this case. So you are going, and then you enter it, then you have the structure, home, NetLock server. Then you need to locate your download package again. Take a look for server.package, extract it. Go into the folder, select all files and upload them to your server. Now we need to edit the app settings JSON. For that, navigate into the home, NetLock and server directory. Then with nano, open the app settings JSON and go straight to HTTP. In our case, we want to disable HTTP because you're going to use SSL encryption. Set it to false. Then make sure that HTTPS is enabled. The default port is 7443. You should leave it like that if you have no idea what it will affect on. And make sure that it's whitelisted in your firewall if required. Then set it to false, true. HTTPS should be true too. Then you can navigate through roles. I'm not going to explain you the roles in detail now, because if you're looking for more information, you can take a look on the documentation under roles and server concepts. Just as a quick summary, what you can do is you can divide or split the NetLock RMM backend into different backends called roles for better security or performance depending on your environment. Then we need to fill in the MySQL information. In my case, it's called demo private one and netlockrmm.com. The port of your MySQL server, the database name, in our case it's NetLock, then the user's root, the password is Bochum. And then we need to provide an additional parameter. In our case, it's allow public key retrieval to true. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect with the backend will not be able to connect with the database after it has been rebooted. Then we need to enable the Let's Encrypt integration, set it to enable true, then accept the terms of service, then edit the domain that you want to issue the certificate for. In our case, it's demo private one netlockrmm.com. Then set the email address and save it and leave the configuration file. The next step is to execute the server and check that everything, verify that everything's running. So for that we need to type in .NET. Then we need to select the NetLock RMM server DLL and execute it. As you can see now, there's a message popping out that the packages are not set up. and the package URL or the package URL is different. So what it did now is it attempted to download it from the package provider URL that we earlier provided in the web console, and it worked. And now we also ran into an issue with the Let's Encrypt issuing process for the certificate. That's because we already issued a certificate using the web console. So what we need to do now is we need to close the server. And then we need to navigate back, then to web console, then into accounts, ACMA, directory, and then there's a file called, it's random number and then a JSON. What we want to do now is we need to copy this file into the directory of the server. But before we can do that, we go back to NetLock, home NetLock, then server, accounts, ACMA, directory. Take a look here, and there's a different file. We need to delete this one. We delete this one, and then what we can do is type in cp for copy, then home, NetLock, web console, accounts, ACMA, directory, and select the JSON. And then we need to fill in the destination path. It's home, NetLock, server, accounts, then ACMA, directory. Copy then, that's it. Now what we can do is we need to navigate back to our server directory, what we need to do. And then we can type again .NET, NetLock RMM, server DLL, execute it. And now it should work. To verify that it's actually working, we can go back into the web console, which we have here, and then just reload the system page. And as you can see now, that the server backend just popped up. If the NetLock RMM file server and remote server is not showing up because it states not connected, make sure to check again your configuration. I did that on purpose, so we're going back now, cancel the execution of the server. Then we go back into our home, NetLock web console. Then we need to open up the app settings JSON. And what we need to watch out now is why is it not working? Of course, it's because we are missing, we have the wrong domain name entered in the configuration right now. In my case, it's not demo private, it's demo private 1. So I'm going to fill that in. Then I need to restart the service of the web console. That takes a minute. Then we go back into our server directory. Then again .NET, NetLock, RMM server, DLL. And that's it. Now if you refresh the page, the web console, we need to re-log in. We will see that it's also connected now. So we can see our new backend. It's popping up with the server's name. And we can see that it's connected with the file server and the remote server wall. And that's it. At least for the basic configuration. Now we need to configure the backend to be able to execute as a service. To configure the NetLock RMM backend server to run as a service in the background, we need to go back to the documentation, then take a look to configure the server to start with Linux via system D. Then we need to create the desired directories. We did that already for the web console, so we can skip this part. The same for creating the NetLock user, but we need to set the permissions. Paste it in. Again, the cybersecurity folder is not existing in our case because we don't need it right now. It's just for troubleshooting. Then you can get again your .NET path. In my case, I already quick saved it, but I'm going to show it to you again. It's user lib.net.net. Then what we need to do is we need to set the permissions, but that's not required now because you already did that for the web console. If you need to do that, make sure that it's matching with your .NET path. Then we need to create a new service based in the template. And now we need to make sure that the .NET path is matching. In our case, it was not user share.net.net, it's user lib.net.net. And every other directory is also matching. The user's netlog. Save it, then exit. Now we need to reload the daemon. Then restart the service, enable service, I mean. Restart the service. And now you can verify the status. using the journal command. As you can see, it's just booted up and the package is ready, the connection is successful. That means if you're going back now, it should run in the background. To verify it, go back into the web console and just refresh the page and it will instantly tell you if it's connected or not. As you can see, it's connected. And also there has been the last heartbeat connection from the backend just a minute before. That's it for the installation process. If you need any additional help, you can always join our community Discord and ask for it there, or contact us through our members portal ticketing system. We provide paid help too, so if you need help to set up the NetLock installation in your environment, just contact us and we will get back to you and help you to install it.